welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who has not eaten a banana since watching Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. It's Adam Clement.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I don't like bananas. Fuck bananas.
I mean, that was a brutal death.
Yeah, it's a fan favorite. I remember a lot of people would use that as a GIF, even if they didn't really know that it was from a Friday the 13th movie.
We had to watch her eat the whole banana. Not the whole banana, but a third of the banana. Chewing and then swallowing, and then she gets stabbed, and then squishes the banana.
Yeah, there's a lot of gurgling involved, and it's also kind of, I don't know what the word is, if you're, like, discriminatory against people who may not be, like, total babes, but you get kind of reminded that, like, okay, so, like, if it were, like, a total hottie, right, eating a banana, maybe it would be different, but it's not. It's a sort of portly hippie girl, and it's pretty gross.
This movie features some very weird sound effects. There's a woman who gets stabbed in a raft, and she starts going, rah, 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 rah.
Yeah.
She made a decision, and she also got hypothermia.
Well, I don't know why your mind goes there first. When I see that scene in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, or as you mentioned, Part 4, well, okay, yes and no. So I know canonically the movies have been somewhat inconsistent, right?
His clothes are dry later, too.
But, like, okay, so in some movies he's afraid of the water, in some movies he's not. So clearly this movie, he's not. But what makes me wonder about that scene is that Jason would have had to have been underwater for at least a couple minutes, because the sequence is as such where she sort of approaches the water and takes her clothes off and sort of dives right in and swims out to the raft. Now, you're Jason, and you're underwater, and you're waiting. He would have had to have expected her to get into that raft, or in the water, much less. So, he's waiting out there despite having drowned as a kid, and maybe in some other movies is scared of water. So, this is before he's like a full-fledged zombie, yet he has the foresight to anticipate this move. It's a little weird. It's a little odd.
He jawses her. He just comes from right underneath.
He does, and you don't really see him enter the water. So like I said, he's like camping out there for God knows how long. So apparently he can hold his breath, and he no longer can drown. I guess when you drown once, you can never drown ever again.
Makes sense.
Right.
Now, Adam, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to answer. I'm going to ask you some serious questions, and I want you to answer them seriously. Because during our Batman Forever podcast, I feel like you didn't give enough credence to my questions about Batman eating sandwiches before crime fighting. So on these, on this, you should listen to it. Adam, really, he dives, ducks, dips, dodges my questions. It's impressive.
I
Very
swerved.
Impressive. He swerved. I mean, if we played chicken, you would have lost.
All right, Mark, I'll give you all the respect and diligence in your line of questioning as today's events unfolded in politics.
Right. So, in Friday the 13th, in Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, it's not, you can't say Friday the 13th, of course, but in Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, why is Mahoney left to deal with cleaning up Jason when he was such a great shot?
So I'm actually very happy you asked this question, not for reasons that you probably want to hear. One of my problems with this movie is that there are so many stupid, silly secondary characters that I can't even keep track of, who the protag's name is, or anybody's name for that matter.
Steven.
So Steven, you're talking about the main guy, the glasses guy.
He's awesome. He saves the day 3 times, and Kane Hodder was a madman, and he let Steven tackle him through a window.
No, I'm going to touch on that in the other movie, but to your point about Steven,
spears him through a window, which that's nothing new because windows explode all over the Friday the 13th world.
Sure.
Steven spears Kane Hodder's Jason through a glass, well, obviously it's a glass window, but he spears him through a window. Steven is the man.
Okay. I mean, I was going to point out that he can hop over his hands and cuffs,
That's
which
gangster.
I thought was actually pretty smart move. But I don't know about spearing anybody into a glass. The way I saw it was he sort of rolled him into it. And actually, that fight right after is pretty embarrassing. They kind of fight on the jungle gym, and
Well, he's
Jason
trying to
kind
get
of
away
tosses
from
him
him.
around. All right. Anyways, back to your point.
You know, the
Why?
production designer said that it took 5 people to put the jungle gym there, and Kane Hodder just flipped it by himself.
Well, yeah, that was pretty clear in the movie, but that's pretty sad that it took 5 people to arrange that. And why is there a jungle gym right outside the Voorhees house? Like, presumably Jason used it, but did kids like that really need a jungle? I don't know. It just seems a little out of place.
Kids got to train.
Right. Well, I guess it paid off.
Mahoney.
Mm-hmm.
So you're already swerving. You're already taking this.
I am, but I'm
the
answering.
off-ramp.
I plead the fifth. I don't know what you're talking about, but now I do. So you're back to your question about Mahoney, a.k.a. Steve.
No. Mahoney is the guy who is a great shot. So during the scene in the beginning when they blow up Jason, they hit him with
the squad.
Yeah, they hit him with over 100 bullets, and then a missile drops on him with pinpoint precision and 0 collateral damage. Explodes Jason. The boss of the FBI everyone's happy. But however, the boss looks at Mahoney and he says to him, "Nice shooting, Mahoney. Now clean up all this shit."
Okay, well, if you had opened with that, I might have followed easier. But yes, I guess you're pointing out the moment in the beginning, which I actually want to get back to in a minute. But yeah, so the camera is a first-person view. I guess the audience is the surrogate for Mahoney, or Mahoney is the surrogate for the audience, rather. And yeah, you're right. They do a number on Jason. He sort of explodes like a tank that gets too close to fire in GoldenEye 64. Because you don't really see the impact, right? You see him sort of explosion behind him, and he just sort of goes boom, boom. But I mean, I don't know who Mahoney is. I don't know what he looks like. Apparently, we are Mahoney for a hot second as the audience. And
we know he's a good shot.
We do.
Now, how does this boss know it? Because literally 1,000 bullets were shot at Jason.
Well, yeah, I think the coroner tries counting. He's like, well, it's a lot of bullets, so he doesn't really get into it. But
is Mahoney in trouble? Is he on the boss's bad list? Is the boss being passive aggressive?
You seem pretty happy with him. I don't know if that's entirely the case. We might be filling in too many of the details with our minds.
Now, Mahoney does a great job because Jason gets exploded at him. And when the coroner gets Jason, everything's there. So Mahoney really does a great job.
I think you're giving Mahoney way too much credit. You have to remember here how many people were shooting at Jason. Like a lot of guys. And then the guy's like, okay, great shooting, Mahoney. That's not confirmation that he had the kill shot. We're just talking about some dingling with a gun who happened to nail a few times wherever else on the body. So for all we know, some jackass threw a grenade out in the back and just happened to land a hit and blow Jason up. So I'm not convinced that this is all Mahoney's doing.
No, absolutely not. I'm just wondering why it's up to Mahoney to clean it all up.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Somebody had to take one for the team.
Is it just him?
That's a great question. I mean, there is a lot of mess, and I think if we're going to blame anybody for the ensuing chaos and the body hopping, I guess we can trace it back to patient 0, a.k.a. Mahoney.
Why didn't Mahoney eat the heart?
Well,
because he's the one who put it in a bag, presumably.
Yeah, so I think the heart stops beating for a little bit, and then by the time it's in the coroner's office, it starts back up again or something. I don't remember.
If I lived in this world, I would hire Mahoney. He's a crack shot, and he's very thorough in his serial killer cleanup.
You want to talk about hiring the right person for the job? Let's talk about the cold open, which I guess we still were, but even before that happens.
By the 23-year-old director.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about, we open on, A Babe in the Woods, classic cliche.
Yeah.
And it's a little weird. There's a few things that are off, and it's not just the setup with this, right? She's alone. Why she's alone, I don't know. But you get into that bathroom shot, and she's getting naked or whatever for the shower. What I love is the very obvious extensions in her hair. She takes her hat off, and it's holy shit, we know where the money went for this movie. It was in special effects and not hair and makeup. But I also wanted to ask you, I'm going to turn the tables on you here, Mark, with your absolute asinine questioning. She takes her jeans off, and she does it in such a way where she turns them inside out with her feet one at a time. Who does this? Do you do this? Do you take your jeans off and let them sit on the floor, on the bathroom floor at that, Inside Out? That's weird to me.
Well, she's a special agent from the FBI. So everything she did there was prepped. She knew the lights were going to go out. She went to the shed. She got a ladder. She went through the mirror multiple times. She started the shower. She knew he was coming.
Okay.
So she wanted Jason to see her do that dumb thing. So then Jason's like, oh, her pants are inside out. She's easy prey. And then because of that, no, hear me out. And then Jason's like, okay, this lady's pants are inside out. She's crazy, right? She's eating stuffed crust pizza backwards. He sees her and he sees that. And he's like, this is easy. So then he lets his guard down. Instead of macheting her, he knocks her off the second floor onto a very convenient table, which allows her to run away. So her doing that was a strategic decision to lure Jason into thinking she was just another horror movie victim.
So you're not only assuming that she knew that he was watching her and would be discriminatory enough to go after her as a result of her incompetence in taking her jeans off.
Yes.
But that he would show up when he did. I don't know. It's a stretch. But I'm asking you.
In the second film, he does that, though. In the second film, he has a cat jump through a window, opens up a window, then times her opening up a refrigerator with a head. So Jason's timing is pretty amazing.
That's fine. I'm just asking you if you or anybody else you know takes their jeans off like that, because it bothered me a great deal.
I'm sure I have. I have never thought about it in my life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing is, I wear Jinko jeans, and that's it. So, I mean, those things, it's impossible to pull them inside out.
How could I forget? That's obviously what you wore in college.
I could jump out a plane, and they're like a parachute.
Parachute pants, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, she should have thought about that, but I guess Jinkos weren't really a thing in 1993.
Oh, they were totally a thing in 93, weren't they?
I don't know. I mean, I was born in 87, and I felt like they had their day in the sun in the mid to late 90s, but you might know more than I do. It just, the scenes like that, they contribute to the signature brand of sort of awkward aesthetics, right? Like things are very grimy or sleazy, but they're also super awkward. And I don't know if that's by virtue of the direction, which, as you pointed out, Adam Marcus was literally a first-time director at 23. But like, even when you get to the TV report after the coroner scene, right, with American Case File, and they're showing B-roll video that happened literally just scenes before this happened. Like, yeah, they definitely had news crews in to the coroner's office to get photos and video of the actors right before they were totally dispatched. It's just such a weird, obvious expository move. And a lot of movies do this, but it just stuck out like a sore thumb in this movie.
And speaking of the newscasters, there's a scene where the guy goes back to Jason's house with the dead body, and he says, I want to have body parts in the fridge.
Yeah, and it's super sleazy.
And then they go, how are you going to make that happen? And then he goes, just talk to Harry in prompts. Now,
oh no.
You can't make that happen that quickly. And who is Harry?
I knew you were going to go that route. I mean, the unresolved mystery of Jason Goes to Hell is who is Harry from prompts.
It seems like Harry is that good that someone can just expect him to bring body parts to the Voorhees house in a jiffy.
Well,
and this is a news network.
I was more nonplussed with the admission after that, where she was like, oh, I banged her daughter, and I'm just going to make it happen. Because, like, that news reporter dude is having a relationship thing with Jason's, yeah.
He's a skis-ball.
Total skis-ball. So I have no problem seeing him get, like, wrecked when Jason takes over his body.
Yeah, but what about Harry?
I don't know anything about Harry. We know nothing about Harry. Harry might as well be Mahoney.
Do you think they're brothers?
I mean, they could be the same person. If we're talking about somebody to have body parts at the ready, think about it.
So you're saying Mahoney is Harry, and he moonlights as a prop guy. So maybe he, as an FBI agent, he works one day on, one day off. And on his off time, he works as a prop master at a news channel, which doesn't need many props.
Yeah, I mean, I was just assuming it was convenient because, you know, if he was at the scene of the crime where all Jason's body parts were hanging out, he would have some appropriate body parts at the ready for any time that a news